Hey, what's happening, guys? It's Dean from Electronisounds. Stick around. Today we're going to be doing some sound design inside of Beatmaker 3. We're going to design some risers for techno music, and we're going to use this awesome new Blackhole Reverb from Eventide. Stick around, guys.
Electronisounds audio. You know you need to watch that YouTube channel.
Okay, guys, if you've been watching my channel for any amount of time at all, you probably know that I like to use a lot of risers and down filters in my tracks and whatnot to help emphasize the ebb and the flow and the forward momentum of my music. So today we'll create a riser sound, starting out with just a percussion sample. It's this sample here, and it has quite a bit of low frequency content. We're going to be going in and out of direct sound today, guys. It's really just about this technique that I want to get across. Kind of a boring, little sound. We're going to click on audio effects, and we're going to load a new audio effect. We're going to go ahead and scroll down to the Eventide Blackhole Reverb, right? And then we're going to open up this reverb. We're going to go to the factory presets. We'll go to the biggest reverb ever preset, right? We're just going to turn that dry wet mix all the way up on this, and we'll use our little ribbon controller to move the feedback knob all the way up as well. We're going to turn the lows down just a little bit on this also, because there's quite a bit of low frequency content in the original sample. And now if I give a tap to this, you'll hear that we've got a really cavernous sound with a huge reverb on it. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to render this out to 4 bars. And first thing we'll need to do is we'll need to go to the song window here, and we'll need to create ourselves a 4-bar pattern, right? Now, I've already done this previously so that there's a note here that's gonna just trigger this sample, right? And now, if we just go ahead and go to the export tab and make sure that master is selected, right? We're going to do 24-bit wave, perfect. Start at bar 1 and render for 4 bars, perfect. We don't need to normalize this or anything. We're going to go ahead and start that export, and it'll let us know that it's available in the exports, new session, blah, blah, blah directory. Cool. So it's just that simple. We've now got that as a 4-bar sample. Let's go check it out. If we click OK and we go up here and we go to the exports, right? Now we go to new session, and there's our folder with today's date on it. And then here's our sample, which we can now drag in to the pad next to that. And I can click from here to the little editor window, and I can get us in to start editing this sample. The reason that I drug it onto a pad instead of dragging it directly onto the time line of the song is that we're going to be doing some editing and then resaving of the sample. So we're going to go into the edit menu here, and let's see, we're going to go to process, and the very first thing we want to do is reverse the sound. So instead of a big long hit, it becomes, kind of a faded in sound. We're going to take the whole sound at this point, and we're actually going to do just that, a fade in on the whole sound. This is creating kind of a volume envelope right off the jump. I forgot to take the effect off of the bank. So now that we've sampled this to a, sample, we can go ahead and remove the reverb from the bank. You might have wanted to, do quite a few of these and render out, 5 or 6 or even 10 or 12 of these, starting with different percussion samples or layering different samples onto a pad so that you've got a few different samples now to start importing and doing the sound design with. So now, let's give a listen again without the reverb on it. And there we have it. That's a pretty awesome 4-bar riser, you guys. Now, if we zoom in here all the way to the end point, yep, that looks pretty good. We're looking for the waveform to kind of come down and end on that 0 crossing, and it does. At this point, we could, bring the volume up of our sound if we needed to, but I don't really think that's necessary at this point. So we're going to go ahead and save this. Now, where you save this at this point is dependent on how you're filing your samples inside of Beatmaker 3. We're going to click the 3 dots, and we're going to click see here, you can click the same directory, you can click the session directory, or you can click the main sample directory. At this point, let's choose the main sample directory, and I can refile this later. So let's call this riser 1-125 BPM, right? You can call this anything you want, just so that you know what it is, so that you can get back to it later. Now, if you want to move it around, okay, you can just go to the samples folder, and then, here's our riser here, and you can click the edit, you can select that, and you can now use the move tool to move that to any folder where you're storing your samples inside of Beatmaker 3. Let me load up a different session, guys, and I'll show you how we can, put this riser into an actual little groove. Just want to show you something real quick, guys. I always thought this was cool. I don't really have any sessions to put this riser over inside of this iPad with my Beatmaker 3, but I do have some cool, techno-y sessions over here on this iPad with Beatmaker 3. So I can literally just like airdrop that sound that we just recorded, the riser sound, over to this iPad, and then I can just select over here, open that with Beatmaker 3, and suddenly now I've got, wirelessly, now I've got that sample available on the other iPad. I was just like, wow, this is too cool, you guys, right? Okay, so here's a little techno session that I was working on previously, and the first thing we'll need to do to load that new riser in is we'll go ahead and add a new track. We're going to go ahead and create a new audio track, right? And we're going to, let's see here, go to the samples folder where it's, riser 1. Here's our sample here, right? And now we can just literally drag this over to the timeline wherever we'd like it to be. This is a 4-bar riser, and I'm going to go ahead and just drag it to the end here. And now what we can do is we can, on audio track 1, we can open up the effect. We can maybe put like an EQ on this track right here. We could maybe take the very first band here and turn that into like a high pass filter to cut off any super duper low frequencies that may be hiding out in this riser. Maybe we'll bring it up to about 329 by default. And then so that it doesn't just, snap off at the end, so that we get kind of a tail and kind of glue it into our mix as well. Let's go ahead and add another effect after that by scrolling down here and choosing the stereo delay. Let's leave the time settings as they are. Let's bring the high pass frequency cutoff to about, 300 and some odd, so that we, again, are eliminating any low frequencies and rumble from coming through in our delay here. Let's bring some of these feedbacks up a little bit and the dry wet just a little bit. Cool. And now let me go ahead and switch over to direct sound, you guys, so that you can hear what this actually sounds like in the mix. So did you guys hear how when it gets to the riser part, we're able to sort of build up a little bit of tension, and then when it hits that crash cymbal again, that it sort of like releases that tension. So I think this is a great way to work on your ebb and flow, using tension as a way to do that per se. I think this even could have been a little bit louder in the mix. We can double tap this. We can click on the edit sample, option here, go to process, and then normalize this sound to get it a little bit louder in the mix as well. If I go back and plug in direct sound here to the iPhone, you'll hear what this sounds like. I really think that this can be a great way to spend an afternoon, guys, when maybe you're not feeling super inspired to actually write some music. I think that the Blackhole Reverb from Eventide is awesome for this. It has that super easy to use preset where you can just jack up the mix and, run any sounds you like through it and just get that thick, lush reverb tail. Again, I would suggest building some 4-bar risers, some 8-bar risers, maybe at a few different tempos that you favor. You can layer some sounds. It doesn't have to just be a percussion sound. It could be like a low percussion sound. You could layer a clap on top of that, maybe even a snare drum on top of that, so you've got a really thick sound to put through the reverb in the first place. You could even add a melodic sound to put through the reverb in the first place to add a little bit of melodic element to your riser, making sure that, like, say, if you're using a chord stab for a melodic element, to add some, melodics into that riser, that the chord stab you want to be in the same key of the track that you're writing in. And you'll want to label your riser, if you add some melodic content, you'll want to label it as such so that you can match it up later with whatever you're writing. I think this is a really great way to spend an afternoon and to build up some sounds that, are going to be unique to your music and help you identify your sound, guys. Until next time, thanks for watching.